Hi, hello. So in the previous video we saw to create a view component from scratch. In this one we are going to see how to create an action from scratch. So it's pretty much the same idea. I'm going to take an existing action. I'm going just to do a copy paste of it. So the one I'm going to use on this one is, so I'm going to create a new folder, test action. I'm going to copy the same, an existing action, and as I did before, the first thing I'm going to do is rename, not this one, but I'm going to rename my new files. So test action, so test action, and so the an action is a bit more tricky than a view component, so you need to be very careful about what you're doing. So here I'm changing the module name, so I just need action. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to change it everywhere real fast because I have only 3 JavaScript files. And I'm going to take the module name and I'm going immediately to put it inside my X module GS and BX module GS. So this way they are declared at the application level. So now that I worked on my module, I can focus on my configuration. So what I want to do right now, so this is going to be the base for another example that will be, I think, in the next video, but we are going to first create a very simple one. So the first thing is to change to simple code. And the second thing is we are going to change the label, testing action, the name, so I will change it test action, the bundle ID is the right one, and as input parameters I have only one, and I will call it message with label message. And as input parameters, that's all. So I got my module, I got my action, so now my service. So the service, if you remember, you have to take the name defined in the config.js. This is very important. So now what I'm going to do is remove all of that because I don't need it. And the only thing I need is execute, that will be the method that will be executed at runtime, and my output parameter, because I will have an output parameter. So here I will just call it action result for now. And inside the execute, I will have my input parameters. So this is very important also. So you need to give your input parameters. So here I have only one. And for now, I'm going to do just that. So I'm going to return a value. For now, I'm going to do something like that. So action result will be set to message plus hello world. And I'm returning it. So actually I could just return the object. It's not really a problem. So anyway, this is the output parameter. Okay, and I'm returning when the code is executed, I need to return it. So action result with a value. And the value is just the input parameter with hello world. So let's see if it's working. So once again, I'm going to deploy my code because the first time, of course, you need to deploy it. You cannot grant it. So I'm going to stop grunt for now. So it seems that my application has been deployed. So let's see if I can find my action inside my view designer. So I will create a new view, testing action. I'm going to save it. So since you can call most of the time an action through a button, I'm going to put a button. And in the add remove the action, let's see if I can find my action that I named test action. So test action, it's not here. So once again, you might have to do an hard refresh. So Control F5, so the cache is redone, and to see the new objects. So let's see now if it's in the list. And testing action, it's here. So I'm going to choose my action. I can find my input parameter message. And so we're going to play a bit with it. So once again, I'm going to use a record editor. And well, I'm going create mode. I'm just using it to store data so I can just display it. So I will take the description and a signy field. Oops. No deselect. So a signy field. So I just need two fields. So here I will rename it inside input, and here I will rename it output. So this one I will set some text. My name is now. And in the output, I will later map the result of the command, the action, sorry. So I'm disabling it. So in the button, execute action, I'm going to call my testing action. I'm going to pass the input field, which should be the description. And I want to map the result of this action inside the output, which is a assigny field. So I'm going to use set property. So I need to choose the field first. So record instance assigny. And I'm going to give the value testing action result, which is a result of the action. So saving it, previewing it. So here I have some text. My name is no. When I execute the action, I should have my name is no, comma, hello world. And it's not working. So why is it not working? So because I guess I messed up something. This is the assigny field and this is a description field. So basically I just intervened both fields. So this one is actually the input. This one is actually the output. So let's change everything. This one is not disabled. Let's save the view. Let's refresh. So when I click on execute action, so this field is sent as an input, and as you can see now in the output I have my name is no with the right text. So the second thing that is very important is not only that it is working, but also that there is a synchronous operation, meaning that testing action is completely executed and the set property is actually a second option that will set the action result inside the assignee field. So the actions are synchronous. If you don't use $Q, so if you don't use a promise, if you don't return a promise, then your action will be asynchronous. So on some very special occasion, you might want something that is not synchronous, but that's pretty rare. So you need to be very careful to return a promise. If you want stuff to be as asynchronous, you could, for example, in execute, do some, I don't know, execute some promise, do some HTTP call, and you just return something. And then, of course, your queries will be fired by the web browser, but the action will already be returned. So if you want to be synchronous, even with some, for example, get calls, get REST API calls, or using the Rx resource, for example, to get a REST API call we saw in the previous video, you will have to do $Q.all, for example, or to return the promise, so return Rx resource something. So that we'll see that later in a video. But if you look here in the run Java command, actually you have an example where inside the execute, we return the call command. And the call command is actually a $HTTP that is returned. So we are returning a promise inside call command, and we are returning it inside the execute. So that's how it's synchronous even in this case. So that's all for this video, and we are going to see in another video where we are going to extend this example for a special use case.